puppy biting and nipping is absolutely the biggest issue that Doberman owners have. I would say probably throughout the lifetime of raising a Doberman. Dobermans are absolutely notorious for this, and it's such an important factor because this is what's gonna decide if you're gonna end up with a huge, powerful dog that has a biting problem or a wonderful, just go anywhere Doberman that you can trust around anyone. But luckily, because I train Dobermans exclusively and no other breed, and because really this is just such a common issue with this breed that clients come to me about, I've really had a lot of trial and error and opportunities to test various techniques and figure out which one really works best to end this nightmarish behavior forever. And yes, this is an update to an old video I did on the same topic, but the methods have changed. And now I've worked with far more dogs, I've refined things, and now we're having far better outcomes by using this new updated technique. So forget all the old videos that you've seen on this. This is the video that's gonna end your puppy biting and nipping and is optimized specifically for the Doberman breed. Oh man, these Doberman puppies have really sharp teeth, and with their high drive, they can be absolutely relentless. And guys, you're not alone. I'm definitely gonna help you out today. But first, it's really important to understand why the puppy biting and nipping stage is so bad in the Doberman breed specifically. And if you understand the Doberman's natural instincts, it actually makes perfect sense, frankly. Your Doberman puppy is a high drive dog, which means that they just keep going. And guess what? They're also a breed that's incredibly owner-focused, possibly one of the most owner-focused dogs in the world. And when they're young, they're exploring the world and they're trying to bond with you. And they don't have hands like you and I do, so what do they use? Their mouth on you, which means a ton of scratches and nips and sometimes real pain for you, their owner. And when you try and pull away from them because of this nipping and biting, guess what happens? The Doberman's incredible high prey drive kicks in, making them just even more relentless. So basically, guys, what I'm telling you is the Doberman puppy has just the perfect set of natural instincts to be the most terrifying puppy nipper you can possibly imagine. They'll also probably have lots of anxiety too, since they're probably having their first time away from their mom and their siblings, and chewing is a really common way for them to relieve their anxiety. So you've really got a lot working against you here, especially with this breed. So without further ado, here's the technique you need to use. Step 1, preemptive redirection. Okay, so step 1 is where you, the owner, really needs to be in tune and observant of your Doberman. You'll likely start to really just see these natural moments where your puppy is just about to engage in that terrible nipping. And as you see those key moments happening more than once, remember those. That's incredibly important. And really a few common ones with the Doberman breed are things like the witching hour, around 7 to 9 p.m. a night. A lot of nipping happens there. Or when playtime starts to become, just a little too rough, you'll start seeing your puppy kind of perk up, bounce a little bit more often, and their mouth starts kind of just coming open and hanging open a little longer and a little more often before this nipping really kicks into high gear. Or when your puppy starts to get really bored and starts pacing around a little bit and getting a little anxious. Usually this happens when you're ignoring them. Then you know that the nipping is about to start. So your job here with step 1 is really to recognize those moments and see them coming, and then change the formula before the nipping occurs. By changing the formula, I mean just simply doing something different with your puppy to kind of snap them out of it before this biting even occurs in the first place. Sometimes it's simple, like taking them outside to do some training, or getting their favorite toy and engaging with them, or going to a different room and maybe just changing the environment, or playing a find it game or a hide and seek game, or simply just putting a leash on them and going for a walk. Just something to change the formula before this nipping or biting occurs. And by doing that, you're essentially speaking directly to the habit forming and routine building instincts of the Doberman breed that is so strong. You're stopping this before it happens, and you're building a new habit. Step 2, disengage. Now, if unfortunately you don't see the signs and your puppy gets that nip or that bite on you, then it's time to disengage. Now, in order to do this, when the nipping occurs, simply open up the palm of your hand, give a firm no while positioning your hand about a foot from their nose, kind of slightly crowding their personal space, then disengage. I like to make sure I'm standing up also, and that I turn my back to focus on something else. By doing this, you're essentially removing the reinforcing aspect of why they're engaged in this behavior in the first place. Your puppy is most likely, frankly, doing this for engagement from you and interaction from you. And instead, they're gonna learn that this nipping behavior actually leads to less engagement from you. Okay, so once you do that, just simply wait a short amount of time, usually 10 to 20 seconds, with your attention off of your puppy until they either redirect themselves or begin to self-soothe by lying on the ground or, focusing on something else other than you. So when this happens successfully, it's a great time to redirect them to something new. But the reward you're giving them for self-soothing themselves is bringing your engagement back to them. And guys, please don't get in the habit of rewarding this self-soothing with an immediate treat, because this is an extremely intelligent breed and you can't outsmart them. Your puppy will actually use that to take advantage of you and begin actually probably baiting you into going down the road of using this technique just so he can get the treat at the end of it. Okay, well, I know what you're thinking. What happens if you disengage, but instead of self-soothing, they attack your pants or start nipping your legs or pulling on your clothes? Then what do? Well, then you move on to step 3. Step 3, separate and soothe. Now, if this behavior continues, don't get frustrated. Just assume that you have, some spawn of Satan while everybody else in the world has this super sweet, cute Doberman puppy. Please don't assume that, because this behavior of testing your limits, this is so common with the Doberman breed and everybody goes through it. So if this continues even after disengagement, simply pick up your puppy, walk them to a nearby pen or separate area and set them down, separating them from you and ending the nipping. Now, this should be an area where they can get in and out of at any time. The door should always be open throughout the day, and there should be a lot of really good chew options in there. Chew toys with just different textures, different types, different sensory feelings, maybe even a frozen toy, maybe a treats, like a Kong toy that dispenses a treat or puzzle toy. Just a good variety of options for them to chew on. Oh, and definitely make sure there's some sort of plush toy in there as well, like a stuffed toy or something else. Doberman puppies love this. Just keep an eye on it. Make sure it's not getting destroyed or torn apart. Okay, so now at this point, if you've gone to step 3, you've essentially ended the nipping and the biting behavior, right? Because they're separated. And you're appealing to the habit-forming tendencies of this breed by doing that, which is great. But then watch your puppy and watch for them to start to self-soothe. This is gonna happen at some point when they're separated. They'll likely pick up a toy and start chewing on it, or they'll start to relax and roll onto one hip. But yes, ignore the crying along the way or the whining or the barking. That might happen. And after your Doberman puppy has begun to self-soothe, walk over, open the door to the pen very casually and walk away so they can come out whenever they're done on their own timeline, maybe when they're done chewing that yummy toy. One really important note here is the pen should always have its door open, like I said, at all times in the house. This is so that your puppy can go in and out of there anytime they want and have some quiet time, or just to enjoy those good chew options that are in there that you always hopefully have stocked inside that pen. If you don't do this, if you don't leave the door open throughout the day, you can run into a real risk of the puppy purposely nipping and biting you just so they can get into those attractive toys in that pen. Remember, these dogs are incredibly smart. All right, Doberman owners, you've just unlocked the technique to stop that puppy biting in a way that appeals directly to this breed. Great job, but please stick around because it's really crucial. The next section reveals the exact timeline that you can expect for this horrible, frustrating phase to resolve. Now, if you're raising a Doberman puppy, trust me, I know you have plenty on your plate right now. But right now, when they're young, this is the time to develop good habits to keep them on a healthy track and towards a long life. Now, you may have seen my interview with Dr. Sophie Liu. She's a co-founder of the Doberman Diversity Project, and her study showed that the average lifespan of the Doberman is now just 9.1 years of age. But did you know that there's actually another study that showed that dogs eating fresh diets can live up to 2.5 years longer than those who are fed commercial, high-processed foods? It's true. I'll link to that study down in the description below. And that's frankly why we're so happy to have Ollie as a sponsor of today's video, which is, in my opinion, really the new standard in feeding your Doberman a fresh diet with no preservatives, artificial flavors, no harmful fillers, none of the junk. It's just real, fresh, high-quality foods, just like you cook in your own kitchen. Their meal plans are designed with veterinary nutritionists to ensure a perfect balance of vitamins and minerals for your Doberman puppy, and their meal plans are custom to your dog and to your situation. So check out Ollie. The link will be in the description down below, or you can just go to dobermanplanet.com/freshfood and that will take you straight to Ollie's website. And don't forget to use our coupon code. It's Doberman Planet, all caps, all one word, and you'll get 60% off your very first box. I worked hard for that coupon code, so definitely use it. And you can see how it feels for yourself to feed your Doberman the very best from the very start. Now, after working with so many Doberman owners on this puppy nipping and biting issue, I found that one of the best things I can do that they appreciate the most is to give them just kind of a general idea of the timeline and what to expect and when. So essentially, a Doberman puppy may start biting and nipping as early as around 8 weeks of age, but you don't really care just yet, right? Because at that point, they're just about the cutest furball you've ever met. But frankly, it's also not uncommon for it to not start until about 10 weeks of age. But with Dobermans kind of between 10 and 12 weeks of age, your puppy's biting and nipping is really gonna be in full swing, and they're gonna be just going into that painful teething stage. Their mouth and their gums are just gonna be really sore, and you're gonna be occasionally finding those puppy teeth on the floor as their adult teeth are coming in. And about this time, you might be kind of hating life, and if you're a first-time Doberman owner, you're definitely gonna be wondering what you got yourself into. Now, it's kind of sad to note that around this time is when a lot of Dobermans are given up to shelters. It's because, frankly, of this extreme nipping and biting. And this intensity of the biting, and really the intensity of you questioning your life's decisions, will probably continue until your pup is about 20 weeks of age, or about 5 months old. At that point, as long as you've been consistent with applying this technique, you can expect to start to kind of see it taper off, and it usually resolves by about 6 months of age. But that's only if you've been consistent in using these techniques. And now for some dogs, or especially for some inexperienced owners, the biting and nipping stage might continue until as many as 10 months of age, or possibly even up to 1 year, although this is honestly a little less common. And if we're getting to that point of about 1 year mark and it hasn't resolved, tends to be a bit of a red flag. Now, if you've made it to the 1 year of age and the puppy nipping and biting is all gone, then congratulations. You just completed probably the most difficult part of owning a Doberman. Trust me, tends to be downhill from here. Now, if you want to see me employ this exact technique during an actual training session with a real client, check out this link popping up on your screen. Not only can you watch me work with this Doberman Cleopatra and her owner Arthur to really employ this technique at their own home, but you can also download the training plan that I gave to her owner at the end of this session. It's all available for free in the description of that video. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next week. Oh, and hang in there. Trust me, it gets better.